All right, welcome back to the Clack Shack, guys. Tonight, I've had a few people that have requested some information on acrylic and whether or not you can cut it with a 20 watt and what settings I use and how I go about doing that. So I'm gonna cover that tonight. Getting a little bit better with the new camera. I think I've got the audio situation resolved. I had to go in and change a few settings and kind of tweak that. So hopefully the audio will be crisp, clear, but not too loud. And as many of you know from last night, guys, Stanley, my trusted vacuum that I ran with my table over here that I used to pull my exhaust fumes outside, finally gave up on me. So I've had to replace Stanley with a new one, and I didn't realize it until I put the new one in there. I bought a smaller one just because all I really needed is it to move the air and have a little bit of suction just to kind of make sure that it's moving air adequately, because the fans, some of the fans work good, but with this enclosure, this is where I do most of my cutting and stuff. I really got to have a fan that knows what it's doing, and I've had better luck with the vacs than I have with an actual exhaust fan. So that's just how I've got mine set up, and I like it that way. But I've replaced it and got my vacuum table back working. I went with a smaller model. This is just a Walmart little cheap shop vac. It wouldn't, but I think $59. It's a 3 horsepower engine on it with, it says 72 cubic feet per minute with a water lift capacity of 68 inches and 160 air watts. So if anybody before y'all start asking me about that, because people have asked me about this one, but as you can see, guys, all the stickers have fell off of it. So I had no clue, and I've had that thing forever. But anyway, tonight's topic is gonna be acrylic. And I'm going to show you how different colors react to the laser and kind of go over my recommendations for cutting acrylic. So if that's something that interests you, stick around for a few minutes, guys. All right, guys, a little backstory. This is the black acrylic that I use a lot of times. I actually got this from a local trophy shop here in town that has a CO2 laser, and when I first got into this, I came into a need for some black acrylic. I went to him, friends with him, we worked together. He actually sends me work that he's not comfortable doing with the CO2 laser, and I do it with my diode. And so he sold me some material, and this stuff cuts like butter. It cuts really great. It is 3 millimeter black acrylic, and with the 20 watt and the 10 watt, this stuff is no problem. Of course, the 20 watt cuts it faster, but as far as the smoothness of the cut and everything, 10 watt, 20 watt, if you have either one, this 3 millimeter black acrylic here, it cuts great. This stuff comes in, like, he buys it in a 4x8 sheet at his shop, and then he breaks it down from there. And so I went and got, he had this piece was like a partial piece, and then I got another square that I bought off of him, and I use those for a lot of parts. And you can they make the tags for the front of vehicles and stuff with it, and they engrave those, put stickers on those or whatever. And so he had, like I said, he had the material and hooked me up. But after I got my D1 Pro, I decided to order a box of acrylic off of Amazon, and I'm going to try to show you the colors that I've got here, guys. This is like the rainbow of acrylics here. I did some testing on all of these. I basically took each sheet, put it in the laser. I had a little circle set up to cut, and I run each piece with 4 passes on the little circle to see which ones would cut and which ones would not. And this is what I found. I've actually made a keychain for my daughter out of the red acrylic. It does cut. You know, like I said, it's a little stubborn because it's not exactly black. It doesn't cut as good as black does, but it does cut, and it cuts fairly well. All right, this is going to be the black acrylic, and of course, black cuts really well. Black acrylic. This is 3 millimeter. This is this XLNT Tech. It's an Amazon purchase. This stuff, it actually cuts well. The black does. This is going to be yellow, and as you can see, yellow, I was successful with my little test cut in the early days, as well as this lime green. It almost looks like a lemon lime Gatorade. It cut my first attempt, as well as the dark green. This is more like a forest, like a deep green. It cut. and the like fuchsia purple color, it cut as well. Now I will say that I can tell by the cut that it was a little hesitant, and I may have actually went a little slow with this stuff because it looked like it tried to melt on me. Now these are the other colors that I had trouble with, which I don't really understand. The orange, okay, because I've cut orange acrylic with my machine before, but for some reason during this test that I did, I had it set up to do four passes. I was unsuccessful in cutting the light blue, the dark purple, the white, and the orange. So I figured what I'd try to do tonight, guys, like I said, I know these cut, and these colors cut fairly well. The black is a no-brainer. It cuts great. I'll share my settings with you that I'm going to be using, but I figured since I was having trouble with these, it would benefit me to go ahead and just put those in there tonight. Just try to cut out a little shape. Nothing. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with this. I'm just trying to help those guys that are having questions about being able to cut acrylic. Hopefully we can answer some of those questions and give you a starting point. Not all acrylic is created equal. I have learned that. Some is tougher than others. What I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to grab these 4 pieces of material right here. I've got the light blue, I've got the purple, I got the white, and I got the orange, and we're going to move over to the laser, and we're going to see if we can't knock a hole in these guys. All right, I am really digging my little remote that came with my camera, guys. It's made more or less like a little small selfie stick. The only thing that I wish they'd have done, I wish they'd have kind of made it to where this part would come off of it. Of course, if they'd have done that, I probably would have lost it by now, but it works. If you see me holding this thing, guys, that's what it is. It's a remote to the camera, and it works pretty well. So, kind of digging it. I'm gonna lay that guy over here to the side, and this is the material that we're gonna be using. So I'm just gonna go ahead and drop these in over here. I'm gonna start with the most difficult from my suspicion, which is gonna be the white, and we're just gonna see if we can put a hole in it. No promises can be made here, guys. White acrylic, clear acrylic is not the desired material for laser cutting. So this could get messy. I'm gonna try not to make a mess. And look, guys, watch this. Yeah, that vacuum is definitely, even though it's a smaller vacuum, it is definitely stronger than my other one was on its last leg. Still got Fluffy Cat pulled up over here. So I'm gonna go ahead and clear that out here. Just create a new file. All right. So I think what I'm gonna do, guys, is just do a square. I don't wanna cut up my material a whole lot, because if I am successful in cutting this stuff, and keep in mind too, now I can cut this with other tools in the shop, but I bought it to see if I could cut it with a laser. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change that to a cut. I'm gonna use my camera and I'm gonna update the overlay here. And I'm just gonna try to go right here in the corner, in the top corner, and put this little square over there. I'm gonna do a decent sized little square. It is, how big did I make that square? We'll make it 20 by 20. So it's gonna be a decent sized square. And the reason I wanna do that, guys, is to keep from heating that material up too much in one spot and causing it to melt. So that's why I'm trying to make it a little bit bigger. I'm gonna go ahead and set the cut speed. Let me refer back to my notes here on my computer of what I used on my 20 last time. 3mm acrylic. I've tested red at 8 millimeters per second, 100% power at 4 passes. So we're gonna go with 8 millimeters per second, and I'm gonna set it for 5 passes because obviously it's gonna be stubborn. So we change that to 8 millimeters a second. And this will be our test speed for these stubborn pieces unless I have to really step it up, which I'm hoping more than 4 passes won't be required. And launching, guys. Like I said, that's 8 millimeters per second at 100% power output. And it doesn't look like it's wanting to cut it. You know what I should have done to make this a little more repeatable? As you can see by the glare coming back off that stuff is just redirecting the laser something fierce. So that is a no-go, guys. I'm gonna put me a squaring jig up here and get everything set up to where I don't have to refocus and re-square every time I go to run another piece. So let's see how well this camera works today, guys. There's the cut right there, right in the top left corner. It was unsuccessful. So that's white acrylic. It is warm to the touch, but that's a no-go. 4 passes. All right. Here's the blue. I'm gonna go ahead and set the blue over here. I'm gonna go back to that same little area where I was last time and try to do it there. Going hot, guys. 4 passes. Guys, that's a no-go once again. Didn't make it. And this is going to be the blue color. All right, so this is just showing you guys that color does matter. All right, 4 passes. Same settings with 4 passes. I did put the depth down a little bit on the secondary for the cut depth, but I suspect due to the color of this material, if you notice the shadowing that's around the laser, I don't know if you can see it with the blue light coming out, but with the glasses on, you can see that it is reflecting back a lot of that light. So it's really throwing some light out here. All right, that's the purple, guys. And I mean, I got a really fine mark on there and it's warm. It is actually hot to the touch. I could probably bend that. Yeah, see, that's soft to the touch. So it's getting the heat, but it's not cutting it. And here's the orange. And the orange kind of throwed me for a loop because I've cut orange with this machine before. But it didn't want to cut when I did my first test. And it could be something to do with the manufacturing process of this material. But we'll run 4 passes on that as well. All right, and as you can notice with this stuff, guys, I mean, it's digging into it. It's like it's melting it, but it's the stuff is just eating the laser light, guys. I mean, it is it's melting, like turning white. I think the fact that maybe this has white in it, or it's just staining it white, but it does not want to cut. And I do not want to go any slower because, as you can see, it's pulling the heat because it's melting it. But watch this, guys. I'm going to go ahead. I said I wasn't going to do it, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let you see some red. This is the red acrylic. And I'm running, the speed right now is 8 millimeters per second at 100% output. There you go, guys. That's red acrylic. This is the Acrylic brand, and the stuff doesn't get. It's warm. This piece is a little warm, but it's not hot. So the difference is the other material is, I'm guessing it is dissipating the light into the material and absorbing the heat from the light. This piece cuts and it doesn't get anywhere near as hot. All right, guys, next up, we're gonna say black for last, guys. That's a no-brainer. All right, next up, we're gonna be doing yellow. This is yellow. Actually, this says this is cast acrylic now that I'm looking. Maybe that's why. I hadn't seen that on here anywhere, but this is the yellow. So I'm gonna throw it up there and see if we can cut the corner of it. I looked all over the box and couldn't find where it said cast, and then there it is. So I guess what they say about cast is not necessarily always true, except maybe the orange. Maybe that's why the orange doesn't want to cut. All right. There's the yellow, guys. Again, the piece is warm, but it's not hot. All right, this is like a neon green color. I'll go ahead and pull this back where you can see. This is like a very, very green. Back in my bass fishing days, it would almost be a chartreuse. I do have my vacuum table running wide open, guys, so there's not any exhaust or fumes coming this way. Everything's being sucked into the table, sucked down through the honeycomb, through my ventilation ports, and is being blown out outside the building over here by the air compressor. Now, it's probably not drafting quite as well since I got the lid up, but I'm not smelling anything, so we're good. All right, there's the lime green, guys. That one is actually barely warm. So it done pretty well at this not getting hot. All right. This is a like a really deep green. All right, guys, new discovery. Even the new camera has to have a new battery every now and then. All right, this is a lime green, or the dark green, and as you can see, it cut it really well. I'm getting some smooth cuts also on the material. I was going to show you that before I quit. Man, this new camera is awesome. That you can almost see where each pass went through it. I don't know how close I can get it with it still focusing. Look at that. But there's the hole. I mean, it's cutting it smoothly through the hole. So, I mean, it's not getting a jagged cut or anything like that. So, that's the dark green. Only 2 more colors to go, guys. We're gonna go with the, like the fuchsia or pink or a really light purple. I don't know what color you guys would call this, but it's a that color. So I'm gonna frame this guy out. Make sure my mic's still working too. All right, 8 millimeters per second, guys. 100% output, 4 passes, and this is an XTool D1 20 watt. Now, you could probably cut this stuff. I'm saying it's probably cutting through it in 3 passes, but I'm doing 4 just for demonstration purposes. Because some of this stuff is more stubborn than others. This color is sizzling a lot. So it must be absorbing the heat. Yeah, see, that one didn't want to cut. Now it's hot. Like, that is melted. You can see where I can barely touch this and it bends. So I can tell it melted in the first cut, but it actually did fall out. But this one that is hot to the touch. So that's going to be a no-go on that stuff, guys. Now, this is the lovely black, okay? This stuff cuts great. I'm actually going to take and roll this back to 2 passes. I'm going to run the same power settings, but I'm just going to turn it down to 2 passes, guys. Let's see if it made it all the way through in 2. There you go, guys. 2 passes. 2 passes, and I got a clean cut. Room temperature. No heat buildup in the material. And you can kind of see, yeah, guys, these are working man's hands. Don't make fun of my dry skin. Looks like an armadillo toes or something there. But yeah, 2 passes on the black, guys. So as always, black is going to be our victor. This is the other material, and I've only got like one little spot here that is still feasible to cut anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut a square out of that just to show you guys. This is basically the same material. This is just a different brand, but this doesn't have the coating on it. So I'm going to do a square frame, and then I'm just going to position that manually. This is 2 passes on this as well. This is, like I said, this is the stuff that I got from my buddy that has the laser shop. And this stuff will rip. It's dropped already. 1 pass and it fell. I don't know where he got this stuff, but this stuff is great. But that's clean cut, no fraying, no melting, no nothing. Black 3mm acrylic, guys, 2 passes all day long. It's actually a really good material if you're playing around building brackets or building some type of little tool or something. The 3mm acrylic, it will break, but it's fun. This is going to be 2 passes. And it cut through. And it's, like I said, it's room temperature, and that cut, guys, is smooth. I mean, you can almost see yourself in the reflection. See that? See how smooth that cut is? So that's some pretty decent material. I wish I could tell you where the guy got this stuff, but I can't. But that's pretty much it for tonight, guys. Like I said, I know there was no groundbreaking discoveries made or anything like that, but that's what I know about acrylic. All right, thanks for stopping by, guys. I appreciate it. Like I said, I hope whoever, I can't remember the name, and I apologize for that, but I get a couple of 100 messages a day probably. But whoever you were that was asking about the acrylic, that's what I can tell you based on what I have. So if you're wanting to do acrylic and you're wanting to get into making things with acrylic, I strongly recommend stick with the black. Apparently, according to the sticker on this material, I'm going to have to go back and say that you can cut the cast acrylic. I don't know what the difference is in the two. I know if you search it and you search the difference, cast or extruded acrylic for lasers, it says that extruded is better than cast, but apparently it does not matter. You can cut either one. But the black is definitely, the color is going to be probably the biggest issue that you're going to have to worry about, more so than the thickness of the material, because even the 3mm white and the 3mm other colors other than the black, red, and even the greens, the diode just doesn't want to do anything to them. So I would definitely say if you're wanting to get into cutting acrylic, start with black, guys. That way you don't get frustrated with the material. All right, as you can see, I've got my hoodie on. Yeah, it's not cold here, guys. I like wearing hoodies. And it's just now getting down into the 50s here, which is a heaven sent for me, because usually I'm just in here pouring sweat. And I've also had to start kind of clearing out from around my heater over here, because it won't be too long that it's going to get cool and I'll need my heater. And so I'm going to get the heater up and ready to go, having to move some wood around and use up some of my wood. But I did get started on putting my sawdust extraction system in, and it's doing a pretty good job of pulling up the sawdust and all. I've still got some plumbing to do. I've got to run some more electrical outlets in here. This place has been a work in progress now for the past 2 years. Hopefully I'll get everything fixed. I'm trying to find somewhere to put this portable clack shack and get it out of my way. But it's just getting crowded, guys. I've got like a path through here. I've got one little path through here, one through there, and then my path over there. It's like the letter H, and that's all I got. It's getting ridiculous. But for now, guys, I appreciate you stopping by. I hope this video was helpful. I hope the new camera helps. I did have a little bit of an issue earlier, and I had like deja vu to my old camera. The camera shut off on me in the middle of my video, and so I had to do some research, and I have found that I cannot run it in 4K, because this camera running 4K, for whatever reason, will limit you to 5 minutes of record time. So I've had to turn the 4K off. I hope the quality of the video is still good enough for you. And I hope the audio got straightened out. I've been kind of adjusting on my mic as well as my receiver, and I think I got that into a reasonable range now. So thanks for stopping by, guys. And if you're interested in one of these hoodies, you should be able to see them like right down below. And I'll put a link to this type of acrylic in the description of the video. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend getting the pack with all the colors, but if you can find the specific colors, then this stuff actually will cut. So thanks for stopping by, guys, and have a good day.